Hello and welcome back to this new edition of News Today. Without delay, let's dive straight into headlines. 25 years of Kargil War. IIT-KGP publishes study on drought due to depleting groundwater levels. World Economic Forum released Global Gender Gap Report 2024. World Bank released Global Economic Prospects Report. 25th anniversary of International Labour Organization Convention No. 182. 30th anniversary of the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification was commemorated. Moving on with our first news, in a recent development, Indian Army commenced a pan-India motorcycle expedition to pay tribute to heroes of Kargil War. Let's begin with learning more about the Kargil War of 1999. It was fought between India and Pakistan in Kargil district of Kashmir and along the line of control. It commenced shortly after the signing of the Lahore Declaration in 1999. The declaration provided the framework for peaceful relations whereby all issues including the issue of Jammu and Kashmir would be resolved by peaceful means. Pakistan's prime motive was to cut link between Kashmir and Ladakh. Although during the war, Indian Army evicted Pakistani intruders and succeeded in recapturing Tiger Hill and other posts as part of Operation Vijay. It's important to note here that after the war, several military and intelligence reforms were carried out on the basis of the Kargil Review Committee. It recommended to reorganize the mechanisms between the Defence Ministry and the Service Headquarters and the interface between them, as a result of which post of the Chief of Defence Staff was created. It also suggested to strengthen surveillance capability and develop required technology indigenously. Lastly, it recommended for a full-time national security advisor to advise the Prime Minister about threats to security. Ahead in the news, a recent study published by IIT-KGP has brought to light alarming findings about the increasing severity of droughts due to depleting groundwater levels in India. Let's delve into the key findings and understand the gravity of this situation. The study revealed that the severity of groundwater drought increased 22 times during the pre-monsoon season from 1996 to 2016. Groundwater drought occurs when water tables drop below their normal levels. Large parts of North India, including major cities such as Delhi NCR, Jaipur and Lucknow, are affected. Groundwater is a crucial resource making up 30% of the world's fresh water. India is the largest user of groundwater globally, accounting for more than 25% of the total usage. In India, groundwater contributes nearly 62% to irrigation, 85% to rural water supply, and 50% to urban water supply. The Indo-Ganga-Brahmaputra plains alone possesses 60% of the country's groundwater resources, with states like Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, and Tamil Nadu being the highest users. According to the Dynamic Groundwater Resource Assessment 2023 by the Central Groundwater Board, 11% of assessed groundwater units in India are overexploited, meaning extraction exceeds the annually replenishable groundwater recharge. Another 3% are critical, with extraction levels between 90 to 100% of annual extractable resources. The primary causes of groundwater depletion include excessive use for agricultural and industrial purposes, driven by a rising population, shifting climate patterns affecting water availability, and unsustainable urbanization, such as the encroachment of water bodies and increasing concretization. Additionally, subsidies that facilitate low-cost pumping technologies and free electricity contribute to the excessive extraction of groundwater. To address this crisis, several steps have been taken. The Atal Bhujal Yojana or Atal Jal aims to improve the management of groundwater resources in 7 states: Gujarat, Haryana, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh. The Catch the Rain Jal Shakti Abhiyan promotes rainwater harvesting and water conservation efforts. The Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme includes a natural resource management component focusing on water conservation and harvesting structures. Financial assistance under the 15th Finance Commission tied grants can also be utilized for rainwater harvesting initiatives. Moreover, the Central Groundwater Board has prepared a master plan for artificial recharge to groundwater in 2020. In conclusion, the findings from IIT-KGP study underscore the urgent need to address groundwater depletion to prevent severe droughts and ensure sustainable water management. In our next news, World Economic Forum released Global Gender Gap Report 2024. The report is based on the Global Gender Gap Index, which annually benchmarks the current state and evolution of gender parity based on 14 indicators across 4 key dimensions. Let's begin by understanding the key findings of Global Gender Gap Report 2024. On a positive note, the share of women in parliamentary positions globally has shown an upward trajectory since 2006. However, at the current time, it will take a staggering 134 years to attain full gender parity worldwide. In the workforce, women constitute 28.2% of the STEM sectors and a higher 47.3% in non-STEM fields. The top scoring countries are Iceland, Finland, Norway, New Zealand, and Sweden. For India, the news is sobering. The country ranks a low 129th overall, slipping 2 places from last year and 5th in the South Asia region behind Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Bhutan. India saw small declines in educational attainment and political empowerment indicators, though economic participation improved marginally. On the bright side, India has high shares of women enrolled in primary, secondary, and tertiary education levels. The report recommends targeted interventions and a yearly collective global investment of $360 billion to achieve gender parity by 2030. Businesses must prioritize diversity, equity, inclusion policies along with upskilling initiatives. Ending on a broader note, the UNDP's Gender Inequality Index also measures reproductive health, empowerment, and labor market outcomes as key dimensions of gender equality. In conclusion, overcoming entrenched gender gaps will require concerted action from governments, businesses, and society. Fulfilling the promise of equality for all is both a moral imperative and an economic necessity. Ahead in the news, in a recent release, the World Bank has published its Global Economic Prospects Report, which emphasizes the need for a significant acceleration in public investments by emerging markets and developing economies or EMDEs to meet their development goals. Let's delve into the key highlights and implications of this important report. One of the primary focuses of the report is the level of public investment in EMDEs. Currently, public investment averages about 25% of total investment in the median EMDE. However, these economies have experienced a historic slowdown in public investment over the past decade, raising concern about future growth prospects. The benefits of increasing public investment are substantial. The report suggests that raising public investment by 1% of GDP can boost GDP by over 1.5% and increase private investment by 2.2% in the medium term. This indicates a strong potential for economic growth. However, it's important to note that public investment can sometimes crowd out private investment, particularly when fiscal space is limited. Additional fiscal stimulus in such situations can raise sovereign risk and borrowing costs for the private sector. Public investment is also critical for the sustainability of growth. It can deliver public goods and services that may not be privately profitable, such as public healthcare and education. The World Bank's report provides a comprehensive set of recommendations to harness the benefits of public investment, encapsulated in a 3 E's package of policy priorities. Firstly, the expansion of fiscal space. This involves improving tax collection efficiency, enhancing fiscal frameworks, and curtailing unproductive spending. Secondly, efficiency of public investment. On this, tackling corruption, improving governance, and facilitating public-private partnerships are crucial steps taken in this regard. And lastly, enhanced global support. In this, coordinated financial support and effective technical assistance are imperative for implementing structural reforms. Understanding what constitutes public investment is also crucial. Public investment usually refers to gross fixed capital formation, which is the total value of acquisitions less disposals of fixed assets by the state. This can be through central or local governments or publicly owned industries or corporations. It encompasses physical or tangible investments in infrastructure like transport, telecommunications, and buildings. In a broader sense, it can also include human or intangible investments in education, skills, and knowledge. In conclusion, by following the recommended 3 E's package of policy priorities, these economies can harness the full benefits of public investment, ensuring long-term development and prosperity. Ahead in the news, this year marks the 25th anniversary of the International Labour Organization's Convention No. 182 on the worst forms of child labour. It was the first ILO convention to achieve universal ratification. India ratified it in 2017 along with Convention No. 138, which deals with minimum age of employment. Let's begin with discussing the prevalence of child labour in India. According to the 2011 census, a staggering 10.1 million children in India, constituting 3.9% of the total child population, are engaged either as main worker or as marginal worker. The states of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, and Madhya Pradesh account for over 55% of these child labourers. Child labour mostly persists in agriculture, household industries, roadside dhabas, etc. The reasons for child labour in India are manifold. Poverty forces families to rely on their children's labour to make their ends meet. Also, the lack of quality education increases the likelihood of children entering the workforce prematurely. On top of that, disasters, conflicts, and mass migration leads to economic instability and disrupts families, exposing children to labour. Alongside that, demand for cheap labor in various industries such as agriculture, domestic work, and lack of stringent legislation and enforcement of laws are also few reasons. Wrapping up, take a look at some government measures taken to prevent child labor. In terms of constitutional provisions, Article 24 prohibits the employment of children below the age of 14 years in any factory, mine, or hazardous occupation. And Article 39 requires the states to direct its policies towards ensuring that the health and strength of workers, men and women, and the tender age of children is not abused. With that, Child Labour Prohibition and Regulation Amendment Act 2016, which prohibits the engagement of children below 14 years in all occupations and of adolescents below 18 years in hazardous occupations, is also at play. In conclusion, the prevalence of child labour is a stain on India's human rights record. Robust laws and their proper implementations are vital to secure a future of dignity for all children. Ahead in the news, the 30th anniversary of the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification, or UNCCD, has been marked. If we talk about the UNCCD, then it is one of the three global agreements known as the Rio Conventions, alongside the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change and the Convention on Biological Diversity. Let's get to know a little more about the UNCCD. Established in 1994 as the sole legally binding international agreement linking environment and development to sustainable land management, UNCCD has a broad and vital mission. With 196 countries and the European Union as its members, the UNCCD aims to protect and restore land to ensure a safer, just and more sustainable future. A distinctive feature of the UNCCD is its commitment to a bottom-up approach, encouraging the participation of local people in combating desertification. One of its key publications is the Global Land Outlook, which provides insights and data on land degradation. Among its flagship initiatives, the Land Degradation Neutrality Target Setting Program, launched in 2015, invites member countries to formulate voluntary targets to achieve LDN. LDN refers to the sustainable management of land resources to support ecosystem services and food security. Notably, India has committed to restoring 26 million hectares by 2030. In 2017, the UNCCD adopted the Strategic Framework 2018 to 2030, urging nations to incorporate desertification, land degradation, and drought concerns into national policies. Other significant initiatives include the Great Green Wall 2007, the Changwon Initiative 2011, the International Drought Resilience Alliance 2022, and the G20 Global Land Initiative 2020. The issue of land degradation and desertification is critical. Land degradation is the deterioration or loss of the productive capacity of the soils for present and future use. Alarmingly, land degradation affects up to 40% of the world's land area, resulting in the loss of 100 million hectares of healthy land each year. In India, 32% of its land is under degradation, with 25% undergoing desertification. As we commemorate the 30th anniversary of the UNCCD, it is clear that significant challenges remain. However, through continued global cooperation and commitment to sustainable land management, we can make strides towards a future where our lands are protected and restored for the benefit of all. The personality news for today is Bhagwan Birsa Munda. An eminent freedom fighter and tribal leader, Birsa Munda was remembered on his death anniversary. Bhagwan Birsa Munda was born in the Munda tribe at Ulihatu, Khunti district of Chota Nagpur Plateau region in Jharkhand. He was also known as Dharti Aba. If we talk about his contributions, he started Faith of Birsayat and stressed the importance of prayer, staying away from alcohol and having faith in God. Also, he started a movement called Ulgulan, the Great Tumult, against the exploitation of tribals by local authorities. This led to the enactment of the Chota Nagpur Tenancy Act 1908, which restricted the transfer of land from tribal people to non-tribals. His birth anniversary, which is celebrated on 15th November, is celebrated as Janjatiya Gaurav Divas. Through his brave actions, he exemplified the values of courage, justice, and leadership. As we conclude today's main news, let's have a look at some quick updates. President has rejected the mercy petition of a Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist sentenced to death for the December 2000 Red Fort attack. The Prime Minister announced ex gratia relief to the families of the deceased in a fire tragedy in Kuwait from the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund. This fund was established in 1948 to assist displaced persons from Pakistan. Recently, the Financial Intelligence Unit fined Axis Bank for failing to detect suspicious transactions carried out in the name of Counter-Terrorist Commando Force National Security Guard. Financial Intelligence Unit India reports directly to the Economic Intelligence Council headed by the Finance Minister. It was set up by the Government of India in 2004. As per a study, nitrous oxide emissions grew 40% in the last 4 decades. China and India are the largest emitters. Nitrous oxide is an odorless, colorless, non-flammable gas that supports combustion and occurs naturally in the environment. Rapid urbanization in Assam is affecting greater adjutant stock survival. Greater adjutant stock mostly breed in the Brahmaputra valley of Assam. They are omnivorous and primarily scavengers of large carrion. Their IUCN status is near threatened. As per a new research, repopulating sea cucumbers can help in recovery of coral reefs. Sea cucumbers belong to the animal group called echinoderms, which also contains starfish and sea urchins. They are protected under Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. New portable atomic clock offers very accurate timekeeping at sea. Atomic clock measures time using the vibrations of atoms. It contains an element like cesium or calcium and a source of microwave radiation. 3 craters have been discovered on Mars by Physical Research Laboratory, Ahmedabad. They have been discovered in the Tharsis volcanic region on Mars. Before we wrap up today's bulletin, it's time to put your knowledge to test in the today's segment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this edition of News Today. For the solutions to today's quiz and to access the PDF version of News Today, remember to visit the provided links in the description below.